Hi, this is a really quick video just to show you all around tables in Excel. So to start with that, let me just share my screen because tables were kind of a new thing to me. I used to have data like this. This is just a sample trial balance. So I used to have data that looked like this. And as far as I was concerned, that was in a table. Looks like a table. We've got columns with headings. We've got rows of data. It looks like a table. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a table. But actually, it doesn't matter what I think, it's what Excel thinks. So does Excel think that's a table is the big question. So the answer is no. Excel does not think that is a table. So the way you can tell is because if you are positioned within a table, you'll have an extra toolbar at the top here that will say table tools. Okay, so as far as Excel is concerned, this is us just using a bunch of cells in rows and columns. Okay, the difference would be the difference is that with cells, we're in control of everything. We have to manually sort of set the, we might need to apply filters, so we could just put filters on. We would need to, whoops, go back to the top. We would need to apply name ranges if we wanted to. If we had another column we wanted to add in, we would need to extend our filter range ourselves, and also extend our name ranges ourselves. What you'll notice is the rows are not color coded at all. It's completely sort of standalone, and we have to do everything manually for ourselves. This is the way most people have learned how to use Excel, so this is kind of completely normal. So the alternative is to actually use a table. So if I go to this sheet, this is just a copy of that data. What we can do with this data, if I go to the home ribbon, we can go to this tab here, this button here, format as table. So the best way to start this is by highlighting all of your data. So literally, in fact, the easiest way to highlight your data is select any old cell and press Control and A on your keyboard, because that literally highlights everything that's or adjoining that cell that you've started from. So that is my range highlighted. If I click on Format as Table, it wants to know, oh, how would you like to format this table, which is really cool. So you can choose any format you like. So I'm just going to go for a bit of purple today. Oh, yeah, feeling purple. Going to choose that option. It then wants to know where your data is. Well, we highlight it to start with, so we know that's right. And it also has a tick in the box to say that my table has headers. This is kind of important. So it's assuming the very first row, on row 1, that we've selected is the one that's got the headings in, and it's right. So cool. Tick that box and click OK. And it will convert our data from being a bunch of cells into a table. And here it is with our gorgeous purple colours, gorgeous or not, as the case may be. Basically what we've got here now is we've got table design. They keep changing these toolbars, what we call them. So it's now table design is our extra toolbar. So if I just click into normal spreadsheet land over here, you'll see that toolbar disappears because we're not in the table right now. If I click back onto table, this toolbar reappears table design. So this is how we know that Excel thinks this is a table. Okay. Now the difference that working with a table means is that you can see it's already applied our filters for us. It will have already, if I go to formulas and name manager, it's already set up a name range for this table, and it's called table 1. We can rename that if we need to. It will also automatically extend that name range. So it currently goes from A to H and row 225. If I just close that. If I was to add a new column on the end, what happens is as soon as I press enter now, it incorporates this column into the table. So it's like having a stalker. It's like, come and be our friend, come into the table. And it literally will extend, as you can see, it's extended the filter range, it's extended the colours. That's what I didn't say then. The table also has colour coded every other line, so it makes it easier to look across. So it saves us how to put borders on and things like that. The other brilliant thing about a table is when we scroll down, let me go back to this normal cells. When we scroll down, we can't see our headings on row 1 anymore. So we'd normally have to use freeze panes. In a table, when we start scrolling down, we can't see the headings anymore. Notice that what was called A, B, C, the column headers, column letters at the top, they changed to be the column names. So we don't need to do freeze panes. So that's kind of cool. Kind of like that bit. What people don't tend to like is the fact that if we just want to add a note on the side, it incorporates it into the table. So it can be a little bit disconcerting if you're not expecting it to happen. The trick is if you wanted to add a note and not have it add in, is leave a blank column or a blank space in between. So one blank column there, I can put a note in there, and it doesn't get put into the table. Okay. If we didn't want these in the table, we can just delete the columns. Cool, that's fab. And the other great thing, if I go to the bottom of the data, if I was to start entering a new row of data, it automatically will extend and colour code the row accordingly. It will also copy in any formatting, any data validation, any pick lists. Absolutely everything gets copied into that new row, which is kind of cool. You'll notice now our last row is 226. Let me just add another column at the top. So our range now goes up to I226. If I go to Name Manager, you can see that already that range is updated to be I226. So for me, with tables, the upshot is that everything that you're used to controlling manually is now done automatically. So it's kind of good that way, unless you're a control freak like me, where I really like to be in control and know that I've extended the range and know that I've extended the filters and things like that. One of the other downsides, or it's not a downside, it's actually a really good feature, but it's something that it's another reason that puts people off using tables, just because it's weird, okay? But honestly, it's dead easy. What it is if we were to put a formula into this cell here, and we wanted to, let's say, that value minus that value, our formula would normally be equals F2 minus E2. That's what we'd be used to seeing. Okay, and if we were to start entering that formula, we'd do it in exactly the same way. So we type in equals, we'd select that cell. But what doesn't happen is it doesn't populate that formula with F2. It populates it with, in square brackets, at credit value, which basically is the name of that column. Okay, but if you think about what we've done exactly the same as what we would have done when we were doing it without a table. So if we put the formula in with our eyes shut, we'd never know it was any different. So I'm just going to put credit value minus the debit value. So what happens here is, instead of it referencing the specific cells that we've included in the formula, what this does is it includes the column names, because it already knows that this formula currently is on row 2, so therefore it's going to apply this to these columns on row 2, and that's all it needs to do. The beauty of it not referencing the cells is that we don't need to mess about with the dollar symbols to freeze cell references. It literally is looking at the relevant column, whichever row it happens to be in, which is kind of cool. The other brilliant thing about this is that now, as soon as I press enter to stop it to confirm that formula, watch what happens. It copies that formula for me all the way down into every single row in the entire sheet, which is pretty cool. Because how many times have you had to copy data down and you've not copied it all the way to the bottom and it's caused issues? So this makes it automated, so you don't have, it's one less thing for you to have to do, basically. The other brilliant thing is, if I was to edit that formula and put, I don't know, divide by 2 maybe, as soon as I press enter, it also copies that into the entire column. So again, it's just an automatic thing that does it does help a little bit. You'll also notice that if I just started entering something in here, some text into that cell, it automatically gives that column a heading as well. So do you remember when you're using pivot tables and every column header has to have a heading? Again, it automatically puts those in so that it doesn't upset any pivot tables that you might have existing if you forget to manually put that in yourself. So there's lots of things that tables do, and they do for you, that can save us time, can automate processes, and they are pretty ace. I think that people struggle to get their heads around what that formula does, but actually when you look at it, it makes perfect sense. So I would definitely try and adopt tables, because they do help understand formulas a little bit better, and they do automate lots of things for you. So I hope you found that useful. Thank you.